Across the years of my life, I've been a lot of things. I was a guitar player, a photographer, a salesman, a manager, a teacher, a researcher, a physicist, a mathematician, a data scientist. And now, hopefully, I kind of want to be a woodworker. But what does it take to be a woodworker? I mean, there's a ton of incredibly skilled people all over the internet that make some of the most beautiful things I've ever seen, but they're not real woodworkers. You and I know that, right? I mean, like, they don't use enough hand tools, or they make too many epoxy river tables, or maybe they're just making a cutting board and it's not complicated enough to be real woodwork. So, in honor of all of that, in this video, I'm making what's called just a planter. Because it's just that. It's just a planter box. It's a big planter box for sure, but it's still just made to hold plants, and that can't really be woodwork, right? But who makes the rules? Is there just a group of a bunch of old white dudes with short haircuts, scruffy beards, flannel shirts tucked into their Wrangler jeans that just determine who is and who isn't a real woodworker? Maybe there is. And if anybody out there knows where that committee is, please let me know so I can formally submit my application. I don't know whether or not I'm a real woodworker. I certainly don't feel like it sometimes. But I do know I love what I'm doing. And that's gotta count for something, right? Like, as far as I know, there's not a lot of people out there that are just jazzed to wake up on a Monday morning and start doing their job. But ever since I started doing this, I kind of am. I don't know, it's weird. What does it take to make me a woodworker? I mean, I know how to take the measurements. I know how to use the table saw safely. I know how to cut a miter joint, which I'm going to cut in these pieces of wood after I get them jointed up and properly squared and thicknessed. But there's a part of me that feels like there's more to it than just that. I don't really know what it is, but there's got to be something a little bit more. Either way, it can't hurt too much that I know how to make a square piece of wood out of a not so square piece of wood. Some people have told me it's about consistency. Being a good woodworker is about getting out there every day and consistently working on the skills that you need improvement in. Repeating your actions over and over and over and over and over and over and over. Oh my God, how many times do we have to repeat these actions? But maybe that's what it's about. Maybe it's about just doing the thing over and over again until the last piece of wood is square. You see, I learned a lot of my skills when I was growing up from my grandfather and my father, who I would say definitely are woodworkers or at least carpenters. But neither one of them would say that. It's kind of weird, though. Like, I watched my father, in particular, build structures from the ground up countless times, but he always would find his own mistakes. Don't get me wrong, he would find others' mistakes too, not just his own, but he would always see those mistakes and he would say things like, I'm definitely not as good of a carpenter as my father was. And that might be true. My grandfather was an incredibly skilled carpenter and an amazing cabinet maker. But I don't think that made my father any less of a carpenter or a cabinet maker or a woodworker in general. And I think that if he wanted to do those things all the time, he could have just kept doing them as well, and he would have gotten better and better. See, I think maybe a part of me is doing the same thing. Whenever I feel like I'm not a real woodworker, maybe that's just me cutting myself off too early. Maybe it's just me thinking I should be perfect now instead of be learning now and Maybe I think, maybe like a lot of people, that you can't be learning and also be the thing you're learning to be. I don't know. I do know that you shouldn't stop learning even when you are the expert, so maybe you can be learning and be the thing at the same time. Maybe I am a woodworker, even though I'm still learning to be a woodworker. I mean, I'm making something that someone paid me to make, and I'm making it out of wood. I guess that counts. Regardless of whether or not I am a real woodworker, I know that I'm not a painter, so don't at me in the comments on my horrible technique with this airless sprayer. I'm doing the best that I can. But as the build and this video ultimately do come to a close, we get to see in real time one of those moments where I definitely don't feel like a real woodworker. Because here in a second, after I'm finished spraying down this frame, I grab the top rail that we see to the left, and I just kind of lay it across the top, which is actually the bottom, just to see about how it's going to line up. And I noticed something for the very first time. That something is that my rails are too big. All of the time spent putting precise measurements down, cutting my miters, checking my blade for square, and I still screwed up. So I took my huff, I questioned life and my decisions, and then I walked away and I recut the damn rails. Because that's just what you gotta do sometimes. Sometimes you mess up and you gotta go back and you gotta just get it done. And in the end, that's just what I did. I built the box, and then I contemplated life for a little bit and wondered whether or not I am or would ever be an actual woodworker. I do a lot of the things that actual woodworkers do. I over engineer things, and I take my time making sure my stuff is square. I make an absolute wreck of my shop, and then I take a little bit of time to clean it back up again afterwards. I buy overly expensive tools that really only do one job and then try and justify it in my head. Ultimately, what does it mean to be a woodworker? It means a whole lot of things. Some of those things I am, and some of those things I'm not. But in the end, I don't know if it really matters. Because in the end, I'm doing something that I enjoy, and I'm doing something that people are paying me to do, and that's doing stuff with wood. So I think I'm a woodworker. And if you don't think I'm a woodworker, then that's fine. I mean, what did I just build? It's just a fucking planter box, right?